Hey everyone, it's Pam, and I'm here with my monthly update letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of April. Now, this video might be a little quicker than normal. I'm just getting ready to go away for a few days, so let's try and get this done quickly and make it a fast edit. So, starting out with updates, I guested on a podcast in April. I got to co-host the Polykill podcast, which was very exciting. I hadn't been a guest on that since for like 5 years. We determined I was on that with my friend Travis, who usually co-hosts it with Blink, but Blink was off having a baby, so I stepped into the co-host role for an episode, which was a lot of fun. The podcast is really funny. I always like recording with Travis. We talked about the games we were playing, the games we've beaten, the games we're looking forward to, and there was some interesting hot seat questions as well. Go check that out. It's the Polykill podcast. I will link to it in the description below. Also, there was a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure, as there usually is every month. And this one was fun because Michelle and I were in the same place at the same time. We recorded it while I went to visit her last month, and we did something a little different. And rather than just talking about topically what we've been doing lately, we talked about some of our favorite things. So if you want to know some of our favorite video game soundtracks, movies, and games, then go check that one out as well. Now I have one pickup from April, and it is Metroid Prime Remastered. I never played the original Metroid Prime, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and especially about this remaster, so you can probably tell it hasn't been opened yet. It takes a lot to get me to play my Switch over my Xbox, but I will unwrap this and play this one day when I run out of other Metroidvanias, maybe, although that's probably never going to happen. But I do want to play this maybe sometime this month. Maybe I'll even give it a review. Who knows? Now, in terms of games I've been playing, I finished a handful of games and I retired a few others. The first thing I finished is Murderous Muses, the newest FMV game by Diavecchi Studios, and if you want to know what I have to say about that, I made a whole video review of it. It's a fairly quick one. I love my FMV videos, video games, and this one has the same really good writing and performances that all of Diavecchi's games do, although it's made more for replayability as opposed to just like one single playthrough. So depending on how you feel about that, that'll probably change how you think about the game. But overall, I liked it, but go check out that video. I also finished the Dead Space remake, which I had been looking forward to. Dead Space is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, horror games. I love, the space horror subgenre in particular, so I've always loved that game. And the remake, I haven't played the original in a while, so playing through the remake, it was almost like, oh, well, this is what it looked like before. And if you actually look at them side by side, it's not what it looked like before. It adds some things like, what's his face? Isaac talks now, whereas he was mostly a silent protagonist in the original, which I actually really like. They sort of expand on some story bits and things. I was concerned because I'm kind of wimpy when it comes to horror games, but I did just play this couch co-op with a friend, sort of passing the controller back and forth, so I wasn't as scared. I feel like there was a couple times when I jumped, when either there was like a noise or a lack of noise and then just got attacked by necromorphs that I didn't even know were there. But generally, it was fun, it was spooky, the controls were really good, the combat is great, I love the selection of weapons, they're all really good. I really especially love the minimal HUD, the fact that there's not a whole lot on your screen. You don't have to press select and open up a whole new menu, map. You can just sort of use your little hand laser to point you in the way of your next objective, and you can even get attacked while you're at stores or going through your inventory and things. So it really gives that feeling that you just never feel safe. And the necromorphs just get bigger and scarier and harder to kill, and overall I had a great time with it. I think it was probably around, 10 or 12 hours long, all told, but yeah, had a really great time with the Dead Space remake. Next up, I finished Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, which is a co-op game. This is one where you can only play local co-op, and it's sort of like a bit of an arcadey shooter communication game. You're controlling this spaceship, and there's all of these different stations. So there's like guns and the engine and a shield, the map, like auto defense turrets. And so depending on if you have 2 to 4 people, although you can play this by yourself with like a little companion that you control. I didn't think that would be quite as fun, but I played this with one other person and it was really fun. The soundtrack is amazing and the game is just really cute. You're saving little like bunny and frog friends while other things are just trying to destroy you at every turn. And yeah, it just really requires coordination in terms of like who's driving, who's shielding, who's killing the things that are trying to kill us. And it was great. It did get fairly difficult in the later levels, I found. Like sometimes our health would just like go down so quickly and we'd explode. But it was great. The last boss in particular was a bit of a struggle, but really fun game. If you're looking for something sort of fun and arcadey that you can play with 2 to 4 people, I definitely recommend it. Also, you'll notice I'm talking a lot about co-op games. I did just do an entire ranking of multiplayer co-op games if you're looking for more of those and what I think of them. The next thing I finished is something I actually think I will be making a video review on sometime in May, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I played Depths of Sanity, which is an underwater Metroidvania that came out at the end of last year, and currently it's only on PC, but I believe the Xbox and Switch versions should be coming out sometime this quarter in 2023, so hopefully that's fairly soon. But it's a really cool game where you're going to find a lost submarine of people who you knew all of them. They've sort of lost contact with them and you're trying to find them, but along the way, things start to get a little weird and you question your own sanity and what's going on around you. And it's one of the few Metroidvanias where I actually cared about the story and I wanted to read every log that I was finding. A lot of the time I find story in Metroidvanias just kind of gets in the way of the gameplay. Here I actually was really interested to know what was going to happen next, and I thought the gameplay was really good too. I have like a couple like little tiny complaints that could have been fixed, but generally really like Depths of Sanity. Tune in later this month for more on that one. And the last thing I finished is We Were Here Together. You've probably heard me talk about the We Were Here series in the last few updates. This is a series of games, there's 4 total right now, where you play online only, online co-op with 1 other people, and it's all about communication. So you get lost in some big castle or fortress or something, and you get separated, and you need to talk to each other to say like, okay, well, this is what I see. And I was like, oh, well, this is what I see. And then it's like, you have to figure out what exactly you need to do and relaying information between the 2 of you in order to solve puzzles. We Were Here Together really takes things a step up from the first 2 games. The first 2 were fairly short. They could be completed in less than 2 hours, and the puzzles weren't overly difficult. In We Were Here Together, the puzzles definitely got more complex. The game was much longer. I think it took like around 6 or 7 hours for this one, and it had a little bit more of a story, which I wasn't super interested in, but the puzzles were really fun, and it's a great co-op game if you've got someone to play with. And then there were a couple games that I tried but retired in April. The first one is Loop Hero, and Loop Hero is one of those sort of almost like an idle game. I would kind of compare it to like Vampire Survivors. Like, you don't do a whole lot. Like, there's systems and everything behind to, you know, for how things work, but you don't do much. You walk around in a loop, and as you do, you can get equipment, which you equip on yourself, and you can get cards, which you place on the board, and the cards will like spawn monsters or give you certain resources. Some of them will like interact in a certain way, and then when you're finished your loop, when you like choose to leave or you die, you get to take your resources to a town and sort of like build things up to open up new classes or open up new weapons and things like that. And I just found it really boring. Like, there wasn't enough, like, click the button to move, it auto combats for you, you equip your stuff, and then you click the button to move again. And it was one of those games that I could definitely see people getting really addicted to and spending a lot of time with. But as I played, the more I realized, like, there are so many more interesting games I could be playing right now. So I gave up on Loop Hero. I'm just noticing how bright it is getting outside. Let me make it so that I'm not glowing like the sun. That's better. The last thing I have pretty much retired is called Curse of the Sea Rats. This is another brand new Metroidvania, just came out in April, and you play a crew of pirates or people on a boat who have been turned into rats. There's 4 different characters, and you can choose among them which one you're going to play. And the cool thing about this, the coolest thing, is that you can play co-op. You can play with up to 4 players, which is really neat. There's not a ton of Metroidvanias you can play co-op, like Guacamelee. I'm not sure. Not too many others are coming to mind. But that was really interesting. It's also got this beautiful, like, cartoon-like animation style, which is gorgeous. The problem with the game is it controls really badly. Like, everything feels so sluggish. It's kind of feels like a deliberate kind of control scheme where, you know, you can't press a button twice or it'll like take those inputs. You have to like be really careful. But just some things, even like if I was in combat, half the time I wasn't even facing in the right direction. I felt like it made me feel like I was really bad at video games, and I'm not really bad at 2D platformers. I'm pretty good at them. So it just, the controls were so sluggish and weird, it kind of ruined everything good about the game. So that sucked. Also, the fact that while you were playing co-op, if like player 2 went sort of off screen, they had 3 seconds to get back and then they just died, which sucks. So yeah, like really beautiful game, looked really nice, but just the gameplay was not at all what I was looking for, so gave up on that one a few hours in. Alright, so that's it for my update this month. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, if you got any cool pickups that you want to share. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more from me, go check out my video where I rank multiplayer co-op games. Also, don't forget to check me out on the Polykill podcast and Point and Drink Adventure. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.